folks, welcome back. Bear Clan's Hiking Sedona podcast. I've got another great interview coming up, folks, today. One of my longtime friends here in Sedona. Oddly enough, we haven't hiked together, have we?
No, we've never hiked.
What the heck is our problem? All right, so after this interview, we're going to have to figure that out. But guys, this is Jim. Jim, say hello to everybody.
Hey, everybody. How you all doing today?
Excellent. So, Jim, what I'd like you to do is just give us a little bit of taste of what you do, where you're from, how old you are, anything you want to share with everybody.
Okay. Well, my name is Jim Reich. I'm from New York City. I've been in Sedona for almost 20 years. I'm turning 50 next month.
Yay! Welcome to the 50s,
in March. And I've been a guide here for the last 16 years. Started out doing hiking tours and red rock tours and wine tours and chocolate tours and just living that dream.
Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful. So you're now a local. Not Sedona resident, right? You're just living right out on the Page Springs, but you're a Sedona. You've been a Sedona resident since you got here, dude. That's the only way I see you.
Yes, I consider myself a Sedonut.
Sedona, yeah.
But I live out in Cornville in the heart of wine country in Page Springs. There's about 4 vineyards away from my house, within a mile away or so. And I'm in Sedona every day, either hiking, doing tours, and just having fun.
Gorgeous, gorgeous area too. So what was it, Jim, that brought you to Sedona way back when? What was it that captured you? Or just let everybody know how you ended up in Sedona.
Well, that goes back a little bit further than Sedona, actually, Bear. For me, I came to Arizona in 1988 to go to college at NAU up in Flagstaff. What? I went back and forth between New York and Flagstaff several times, and between 1995 and 2001, I was living in Danbury, Connecticut.
Oh, wait, what? No kidding. All right, we're going to have to talk after this. I was in Connecticut for about 20 years. We'll talk about that after the podcast. Go ahead.
Wow, I didn't know that. Anyway, so, I was living in Danbury, Connecticut, and back then I was wearing a zoot suit every day, working corporate America in the cubicle behind a computer all day. Exactly, blah. And I was also working in retail part-time, and for the 6 years I spent in Connecticut, I was working almost 7 days a week, between 60 and 80 hours a week.
I remember the days.
Although I like the greenness of the New England area, ever since college, my heart was always in Arizona. And in 2001, I had a trip planned to Arizona for 2 weeks to see a bunch of old college friends, hang out, have a good time. And I was also going to put out some feelers for some jobs. And ironically and thankfully, 2 weeks before that vacation was supposed to happen, my primary employer, the corporate America one, decided to discontinue my position.
Opportunity, baby.
Exactly. So I spent about a week working with all the agencies I had worked for years. Right. And normally I would find a job like that, and for some reason there was nothing there. And after that first week, I was like, well, maybe this is the universe telling me something. So I called up my dad, and I was like, hey, Dad, that trip I got planned to Arizona? I think I'm going to move there instead. Can I put a few things in your basement? He's like, sure, no problem. You love Arizona. You should totally do that. Little did he know that he lost his basement. I put over probably 100 boxes, furniture, you name it, took over his entire basement.
Nice.
And called up the buddy of mine that was picking me up from the airport. And I was like, hey, Pete, I got some bad news for you. And he's like, what do you mean bad news? Don't tell me you're not coming. And I'm like, no, it's a one-way ticket. I'm moving there. He's like, hell yeah, it took you long enough.
Excellent.
So I ended up landing up in Flagstaff, and I was hanging out up there with him for a week, just getting my feelers. This was July 1st of 2001.
Yep.
While in Flagstaff, some college friends that were living in Sedona, and this was before all the social media that we have now, somehow they knew I was in the state. I don't even know how they knew it, but they figured...
They felt it, man.
They felt it. They felt my presence close to them.
Yeah.
And my buddy Adam Wayne called me up, and he's like, I hear you're up in Flagstaff. I'm going to be picking you up tomorrow morning at Pete's house at 5 a.m. And I'm like, 5 a.m.? I'm not a morning person, Adam. Why would I want to be up at 5 a.m.? Why are you going to be here at 5 a.m.? He goes, well, that's what time I'll be there on my trash route, because he owned Red Rock Recycling and Rubbish. So I was like, great. So he picked me up early in the morning that next day. I did the whole trash route. We catched up and talked and laughed and hung out.
Nice.
And that night, over dinner with a half a dozen of friends, him and Robin and Lance and Chris Mosier and Jeff and a whole bunch of just people that were dear friends from college, through the course of dinner, I was offered a job with them to work at their trash company. I was offered a place to live in one of their homes, and it was all in Sedona.
Welcome to Sedona, man. Welcome to Sedona.
Exactly. And that's what brought me to Sedona was that conversation and those interactions. And
so you're up north, up in Flagstaff, coming down the first time you came down 89A, had to have, right?
Yeah.
How did that feel for you? How did the first visuals of the Red Rocks hit you?
Well, that wasn't the first visuals of the Red Rocks. The first visuals were actually my freshman year of college, back in probably 88 with my friends. We actually came down here and went on an extreme hiking adventure in Slide Rock before Slide Rock was even a state park.
Right.
It was just a pull off on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Probably the whole dorm was there that day. Coolers of beer and chaos. And
so you guys started the whole trend, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember that day well. I could tell you a lot of other things.
Yeah, we don't want to get into those details.
Off the podcast. But when I saw Sedona, I was like, wow, this place is like magical. I mean, it looks like a movie set. It looks like something I used to see in the old Westerns.
That's right.
And I had no idea.
You had no idea that they had the Westerns.
It was where John Wayne was and Elvis Presley and Jimmy Stewart and whatnot. I was just a young kid enjoying nature, loving to hike. And
You got it. As you started experiencing Sedona more in the local state, and now you're working here, you're living here, what were some of the things that you did? Just like a brief... Give me a couple of the hikes that you did to start off getting used to or familiar with Sedona.
Well, when I first moved to Sedona, I was living in Uptown, and so this was right by the Jordan Trailhead, which is a great thing. It's where I'm headed after our conversation today to take the dogs for a little walk. So we started going up to Brins Mesa, Jim Thompson Trail, all the way over to Midgley Bridge. There was this amazing squatters thing over by Midgley Bridge where this person had built this just incredible camp, totally off the grid, totally protected. Started making these discoveries with my dear friend Robin Blakey, who is an avid hiker. She was hiking 2-3 times a day, and I learned Sedona from her. And she was showing me every trail. We were going up on Cibola and Jordan, and
it's a beautiful loop out in there, man.
Yeah, and doing social trails along the ridgeline that not many people know about. But that's like one of my favorite hikes is that ridgeline between Cibola and Jordan. Which
that's a beauty for sure, man.
I fell in love. I mean, I'm originally from New York, and as a child growing up in the suburbs of New York, and this is suburbia, New York City, I would go out after school and I'd go for walks around the neighborhood, but this is the neighborhood. I mean, and I would look for areas of forest and this and that, but I would inevitably come across a person's property and I'd be like, okay, well, I want to go there, but this property is in the way, so I'll just hop this fence and go to where I want to go. And
he wasn't doing anything illegal.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't at all. But people don't like it when you cross their property.
Of course not.
I mean, I got picked up by the police more times than my mom would like to remember. Yeah. And I was like, this stinks. All I'm doing is I'm just exploring the world.
Right.
And then backing up back to my freshman year of NAU, as soon as I discovered Flagstaff and saw the San Francisco
Peaks, man.
Yeah, and saw the mountains and the trees and the ponderosas and the NAU campus, I was like, this is home. This is where I want to explore. And Sedona's the same way. And in the 20 or 30 plus years that I've been in this state almost, what I love about Northern Arizona, there isn't a single home I've lived in where I can't leave my home and within a half an hour be in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Like literally be in the middle of nowhere.
It's a pretty big state, and a lot of people don't realize that. There's a lot of square mileage out here, and a lot of it is uncharted. There's a lot. I mean, think about the desert just in itself, but there's a lot of open area, and you can literally be in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Exactly. Pretty cool. And that's, for me, that's what feeds my soul, feeds my passion, is to get in touch with Mother Nature, walk on the land, hike up the slick rock barefoot in the summer months when it doesn't freeze my toes and warms my toes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I've hiked up like Cathedral Rock barefoot during a monsoon storm in the summer, feeling the water in between my toes. Yeah. And it's just that feeling, that connection is what inspires me.
And folks, just for your information, don't do that. I mean, it's doable when you know what you're doing, but if you're just visiting in Sedona, walking barefoot on the red rocks during a monsoon, it's going to be slick. And yeah.
Yeah.
That had to have been a really dynamite experience. I mean, the best way to know a place is to visit it or to experience it in the highs and lows, like in the cold times in January, February, which we don't really have cold times, and then in the hot summer days with the monsoons. The beauty is ridiculous because water's falling off the rocks. You're getting the waterfalls, the cascading water, just the beauty, and then the sunsets with the monsoons. Oh my gosh, off the charts.
It's gorgeous. It drives me to be here, and it's like when I'm hiking out in monsoons. There's times I'll be hiking and I'll see waterfalls coming off the rocks, and I'll come across a little area where there's some mud, and I'll just pick up the mud and rub it all over my body and face and whatnot. I've encountered people on the trail after that, and they think I'm some Aborigine. Like who are you and why are you covered in mud? But it's me being in touch with Mother Nature. Absolutely. And connecting to Mother Nature. 100%. And
because you've been here for a while and you've seen a lot of transitions, as far as the trails go, when I got out here, trail marking was okay, but it wasn't great. What have you seen for transitions with regards to the trails and the trailheads and the parking and all that?
Sedona has grown drastically in the last 19 years. It's staggering to me. And I could say areas like Brins Mesa Trail, for example, or the Jordan Trailhead, rather, 19 years ago wasn't even a trail. I mean, it was a trailhead, but there was a gate and there was really no place to park. Right. You had to pretty much walk up to the trailhead. So I've seen the Forest Service make major improvements, building huge trailheads for like Jordan Trailhead, Fay Canyon Trailhead, Bear Mountain Trailhead.
With latest updates like over at Sugarloaf off of Little Elf Trail, they redid that a couple years back. Beautiful, paved parking and everything.
That's one. They've done Airport Mesa. They've improved, and they've improved the upper parking lot to give an extension trail.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the trails that I was doing 20 years ago that were social trails, like the whole Adobe Jack network.
Beautiful place right there.
That's a great network of trails, and there must be at least a dozen newer trails there that 20 years ago were just social trails among mountain bikers and hikers.
If that, absolutely.
I have favorite trails. Like today, I'm going to go do Brins Mesa. I'm going to loop up, head down Soldier Pass.
There you go.
Check out the 7 sacred pools. Check out the sinkhole. Hook up with Cibola or Jordan, depending on my mood.
I like Cibola because it's just, you go up.
Yeah.
For me, everything is about going up. So,
exactly.
Jordan's beautiful. It's a nice connect, a little longer. But Cibola Pass just makes it a crushing, beautiful end to a gorgeous hike around. So have you introduced people to Sedona, like family, friends? I mean, obviously you had your college buddies and they knew it before you did or whatever. Have you ever gone back to the Northeast and then said, you guys got to come to Sedona?
Oh, yeah. I've had most of my family has been out to Sedona. I mean, like I've taken my brother Jeff on some hikes and his girlfriend on some hikes. So I've introduced lots of people to amazing hikes, family members, friends. When I started my business, I was doing hiking tours. So I've taken clients to the top of Bear Mountain, Thunder Mountain, Wilson Mountain, done all
the big daddies of Sedona.
Yeah, I mean, done all of the canyons. I've hiked to the top of the San Francisco Peaks, Mount Humphreys, 12,600.
A lot of people aren't familiar enough with that. When they come out to northern Arizona, they're coming to the Grand Canyon, right? On the way, Sedona is, and then Flagstaff is. And then avid hikers will know about the San Francisco Peaks. They might still not know about Sedona, but they'll know about the San Francisco Peaks because that's the biggest, tallest thing we have in Arizona, I believe, as far as elevation.
Oh, yeah.
So over 12 grand is pretty impressive. For a flat desert state, to have something over 12 grand is pretty incredible.
It's an amazing hike, and I could tell you a little story. The first time I hiked the San Francisco Peaks was my freshman year of college. Mm-hmm. We hiked it during a full moon.
Oh, man.
That was my first experience of the San Francisco Peaks.
That locks you right in.
Everything.
Eternity, absolutely.
With that full moonlight, because what many people don't know is Sedona and Flagstaff are dark skies communities, which means the businesses and the residents have very low ambient light,
Yep.
so you could see the stars. And like when I was a kid growing up in New York, going to the Hayden Planetarium and seeing the stars, I was like, oh wow, that's what stars look like. Because I was in New York City at the time. There's no stars, there's no moon.
No.
And being on top of the San Francisco peaks with a full moon is like being out with the sunshine. I mean, it's daylight.
Yes.
I mean, you have a moon shadow. And I joke with that with people on the East Coast. They're like, what are you talking about, a moon shadow? And I'm like, no, you literally see your shadow during the moon.
Absolutely. It's almost like hiking in the day. It really is.
It is.
If you could have a chance to hike with anyone today or 2,000 years ago, would you be able to find one person that you would love to hike Sedona with?
Wow. If I could hike with anyone.
Yeah. Whether they can hike or not. I'm just saying, just that feeling of who would you like to pick if there was somebody to hike with?
I think I'd like to take Greg Braden on a hike.
No kidding.
Yeah. My company sponsors Illuminate Film Festival.
Yep.
Through my relationships with Danette Wolpert and Illuminate Film Festival, I got to meet him last year at a special event in Sedona. And
congratulations to you on that. That's pretty spectacular.
Thank you. And I got to just sit down and chat with him and tell him how much I admire his work and admire his programs on Gaia Television, Cosmic Disclosure, and other things he's doing. Yeah. I just find him really fascinating. It'd be just cool just to hike with a guy like that, just one-on-one in my playground.
There you go.
And just chat about life and about the rock.
That's super. That is super.
Yeah.
All right, I got a quick one for you. Tell everybody about your wine tours.
Okay. Well, as I said, I started a tour company 16 years ago. 16 years ago, it was called Sedona Hiking Adventures. Through time and evolution, it's morphed from Sedona Hiking Adventures to Sedona Red Rock Adventures, and now, in its current incarnation, it's Wine Tours of Sedona. And when I started doing wine tours, there was one vineyard in northern Arizona, Echo Canyon, started by John Marcus. Now there's over 30 locations.
People don't know that.
No.
Folks, the Verde Valley is wine country.
It is totally wine country, and I have a little joke. Arizona is wine country. Napa's auto parts.
Ooh, that's good.
Sorry, Napa.
That's funny. That's funny.
And over the years, I've really grown to appreciate wine and grow a palate for wine. And I'm kind of a wine snob. I'll admit that. I like good wine. Mm-hmm. As a small local business, I'm all about supporting other small local businesses whenever possible. I'll pay more to support a local business than supporting big business. Right. And what I enjoy about doing the wine tours is I'm supporting small businesses. If wine is ending up in my personal wine cellar, it must be from Arizona. I won't buy California wine or Oregon wine or Italian wine or Spanish wine. Yeah. I'll buy it when I'm out, like at Vino de Sedona or Decanter. But when I'm just drinking wine at home, it must be from Arizona.
Nice. I'm
also a Red Rock tour guide. I'm also a raw chocolate tour guide. Mm-hmm. That's something that many people might not know is there is some of the best chocolate in the world coming from Sedona. Yeah. And I've been at the wine bar. I've met people from Switzerland at these wine bars. We start talking and I'm like, yeah, I hear your chocolate's pretty good. And they're like, it's the best. I'm like, well, actually, no, our chocolate's the best. And I remember on this one occasion, we're sitting down, we're drinking a delicious glass of Arizona wine. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go show you something. I grabbed some chocolate. It was Lulu's chocolate at the time. And I brought it to her and I'm like, try this. Like her eyes bulged and she's like, I really thought that you were just like full of it. And I've tasted this chocolate and I can in all honesty say this is way better than Swiss chocolate. There's
so many hidden gems in a place like Arizona. And we can say that about anywhere on the world, right? Anywhere on the planet, there's hidden stuff. But to know that there's actually wine country here is phenomenal. And chocolate stuff is phenomenal. The fact that we were an apple orcharding place for 80 years, ridiculous, weird in quote unquote a desert.
Exactly.
What a gorgeous concept.
It is. And so many people don't know it. And my business model is offering private, personalized, completely flexible tours where whether I have 2 people or last year I had my largest group of 40 people.
What?
It's a private experience to your group. And by offering that, I'm able to really cater to each client's interests, their palate, what they want to see, what they want to do, what type of wines they're interested in, whether they want to go up to Jerome. Many people don't know that a guy by the name of James Maynard Keenan, who's the lead singer of Tool, Pucifer, and A Perfect Circle, lives up in Jerome, and he's an amazing winemaker.
Right.
And he owns 2 wine tasting rooms in Jerome, a wine tasting restaurant making handmade pasta in Conwood, another one in Scottsdale. And I take people to these places, and I show them that experience of including incredible food on the tours. This year, I'm actually going to be launching culinary tours, and also launching gallery tours,
nice.
to complement it all, because it's all about wine, food,
arts, crafts.
I mean,
great combo.
And like, I'm from New York. I've been to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I've been to the Guggenheim. Those are amazing museums. But in my humble opinion, I could say Arizona artisans are 10 times better. I don't want to look at a painting with a dot on it. I mean, yeah.
That's funny.
The reason I started my company is passion.
Of course.
It's not a job. I love Sedona.
Yep.
I love Arizona.
And you love what you do.
And I love what I do. Exactly. I love what I do. I am so grateful to be a tour guide, and so grateful to be able to share
this
area with clients. Exactly.
Good job.
That's what feeds my soul.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Jim. Beautiful information. I'm excited to share this podcast with everybody. Thank you so very much. Great friend, beautiful person. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with me today while we do this podcast.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Bear. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure to see you and hang out with you for a little bit. It's beautiful. Have a gorgeous day. And folks, thank you very much for listening in. Stay tuned for the next podcast. Who knows who I'm going to interview next? Have a good day, everybody. Thank you again, everyone, for listening in to today's podcast. Your time and energy, of course, is greatly appreciated. Please download these episodes, favorite them, share them, and even visit my YouTube channel for some insanely cool videos of Sedona. It all helps me to continue to bring you more exciting podcasts about hiking Sedona and other things. For those of you wanting to dig a little deeper, maybe you're struggling with some inner issues, or maybe you're recovering from an addiction, or just looking for inspirational discussions about healing, check out my other podcasts on your favorite podcast players. Things like Path to Recovery, Cognitive Awareness with a Touch of God, and my amazing Star Wars The Bear Awakens podcast. Learn more about how Star Wars and the God consciousness are essentially one and the same. Thank you very much, folks, again. God bless you all, and we'll see you on the rocks.